Hi, this is Oli, and let's do another Hackerrank coding exercise. This one is called FairRations, and let's get started with the problem. So you are basically the king of a castle, and you are going to distribute some bread to the people in line, and some of them already have some bread. And time is hard, so you must distribute as few as possible. According to the following rules. Every time you give a loaf of bread to someone, you must give one bread immediately front or behind. After all the bread is distributed, each person must have an even number of loaves. Okay, and apparently, if it's not, it cannot be all even. We can print no. So let's look at the example. For example, the people in line have lobes of 4, 5, 6, 7. So we know now this array B is uh, the precondition of the array, and then we'll be modifying this array until, in theory, that every element in this array become an even number. If we can achieve that, we're basically gonna print no to it. So just quick approach that how I would do is that I'll look into each element in this array, which right now it's 4, right? And I'm just gonna ignore that. Basically, I skip that, and I'm gonna only see the condition. That's the odd condition. So if number's odd, I'm gonna give one love to it and then one immediately after. So this will change it to 4, 6, 7, 7, right? And then once it gets 7, I'll give this person one love and then another one immediately behind it, and eventually get to this, and then this will end my execution, and I'll get happy that everyone gets that even number of bread, and I'll get the total number of this minus total number of this initial array, and then we'll get 4 loves of total. So let's get started with the coding. So I have this example array that's set there, so we can kind of go back and check as we code. So in this case, what I wanted to first do is I want to set the length. I'm saying that will be the initial length of the array. This I'm checking this in case I modify the array. Let's see, since I'm actually adding some value one immediately after it, so I'm gonna just kind of preserve the array length and only watch that condition. So another one is I want to see what initial sum will be. That I'm going to use a dot reduce function, like it's basically method array method that's built in JavaScript. If you're not familiar with it, go do some research. It's really straightforward, and this is how I get the sum of that array. And let's keep going. Now, since I want to set a while loop, so let's say I want a while loop, some condition there, and the execution in there. Excuse me. So, in order to do that, I want to set I, and I'm gonna set it 0. This I will represent basically index of this array, and let's see if the I is actually less than the initial length. Then if it's more, I'm gonna just get out of that while loop. So let's see. Now I'm looking at each number. What I wanted to do is I want to ignore all these I don't want to do anything on these even numbers. I want to only look at the odd condition. So if B height will be now each basically the lobes that's in the array. Um, if that is divided by modulus of 2, basically meaning if this is odd, this will basically, if you want to be more specific about it, you can say this doesn't, oops, I got too many equals. Basically same thing if it's not 0. Let's keep it this way just to be more explicit. And another thing that I want to watch the condition is I don't really want to break out of the array and then just continue on. So this sort of sets it already, but I wanted to make sure I is also um, length -1. So I is pretty much stopping at that point. Once I give one lobe to that person, um, then it will be given to the another. So I don't have to keep giving to the bread, the one that's not even existing. So if that's the case, what I want to do is I want to give that person one bread and one immediately after it. I plus 1 will be plus 1. So basically what we talked about earlier, I'm just getting it into coding format. So in this case, at this point, let's see what initial B is doing and what, let's see, before while execution and while loop execution and after. So this is not gonna pass. I'm gonna just run the code to see what those console log will be. Okay. You know what I did wrong? In this case, what I forgot to do is actually in this each execution, each while loop is done, I need to increase my number I. So if I'm first loop, like if I'm looking into the first member, if it's done, I should be looking at the next one, right? But apparently I kept setting it at the first one and having this while loop go forever. So that's what I did wrong. So let's run this again. It should go faster. So now that you see that the before and then they after change it to all even numbers. So this was successful, and this one is not successful. So we know now that actually this thing works. The code works at least. All we need to do is now. So set. What I want is the like updated sum now. I'm gonna get updated sum, and that will be exactly same as this guy, right? In terms of the execution, but of course the value will change. And here I just need to return updated sum minus initial sum. So this will, if we run it now, we're basically covering the condition. Yeah, so it is passing now. So we got the 4 of this distributed number of bread. But we're not covering the condition when all the array member is not an even number. So how we do that? We will have to loop through. Let me just use the basic for loop. I equals 0 and I should be less than initial length, and I plus plus, and what we wanted to do is that if any member is still, in this case I'm just going to use modulus of 2, which will return um, let's see, if it's that is returning, if it's that condition, I'm going to return to 0. So, and run. So yeah, it is covering the condition. So if it's returning as false, basically we will be returning it to no, and that will cover the condition that all the bread is not an even number. So let's submit the code and see if it's passing. All right, I guess it went a little bit longer than expected, but it was passing. So that was it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.